I know. Nah, this nigga Devo. This nigga mine. You know. Clown in the class. Same old, little nigga like me. Okay, come over, ugly. I ain't stutter. Get that bitch. Jaleel. Let's go, boy. Jaleel told me how to play. Go. I ain't ready to go. Shut up, man, boy. Long hair. He said blind hair. Something like that.
Turn the music off. I don't want to hear it.
Let's talk about a race, son. Let's talk about a race. Yeah, like you just tell me that. I was saying that. Okay, every time the red thing blink up, go up. You did this. This what you do when you race. I ain't gonna lose for you. You do this. Drunk, son. No.